All right, multiple matrices. So the difference between multiple matrices and what we did last class with adding and subtracting matrices is you do not have to have the same dimension. That's the most important thing. You don't have to have the same dimension. So these can be a little bit on the trickier side, but once we get the pattern, it should be a little bit easier. So looking at this, what we need to have is the same inner dimensions, okay? The same inner dimensions in order to solve when we're giving multiplying matrices. Okay, so if I'm looking at something like this, what do I mean by the same inner? I have to first find my dimensions, which in this case is 2 by 2, and this is 2 by 2. They have to have the same inner dimensions. So once they have the same inner dimensions, I'm going to go ahead and cross them out, and I know my answer's going to be a 2 by 2. I'm just taking whatever's left over. Just giving you an example of what cannot work. Let's just say I have one where, let's say one of my matrix is 3 by 3 and one is a 2 by 3. If I write them out, 3 by 3 times, or not times, 3 by 3 and 2 by 3, these do not have the same inner, so this would be not possible. Okay, so most important thing is they have to have the same inner. So again, just giving you another example, if I have a 3 by 3, let me pick a different color so we could see it. If I had a 3 by 3 and a 3 by 3, I have the same inner, so my answer, my solution in this case, will be a 3 by 3. I could always change this, and just giving you another example, I could change this, and if it was a 3 by 3 and a 3 by 2, remember, it's the inner, I'm still able to solve this, and my answer would be a 3 by 2. 3 by 2 would not be my answer per se. It's going to be 3 rows and 2 columns. That's what I mean.
It wouldn't be.
All right, so looking at this, what you're doing is you are multiplying and adding. This chart looks a little bit confusing, but once we get to the examples, it'll all make sense. So let me just show you briefly how to do this, and then like I said, once we get to the examples, it'll make sense. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at the rows, and then you're going to do the columns. So just showing you, A multiplies with E, that's right here, plus B is going to multiply with G. So I did my row with my column. Then I'm going to do the same row with the next column. A will multiply by F, B would multiply by H. So like I said, I know this looks confusing. It's going to be a little tricky, but once you find the pattern, it'll be a little easier. So go ahead and do the examples, and let's go ahead and do the first one. All right, so going ahead and doing number 7, I need to multiply my matrix A and B, my matrices, okay? Let's first go ahead and see if this is possible. What is my dimensions for the first one? Okay, remember, when I'm looking for my dimensions, it's going to be my rows by my columns. So how many rows do I have for A? Rows go which direction? Anybody tell me rows go in which direction? Right to left. So looking at it, I have 1, 2, 3 rows. So this is going to be called a 3 by, how many columns do I have? 2. Let's look at the next one. How many rows do I have? I have 2 rows and 2 columns. Do I have the same inner numbers? Yes, I do. So I know my answer is going to be a 3 by 2. Keep in mind, I haven't solved anything. My answer is going to be a 3 by 2. So if I have more numbers than that, I know I did something wrong. So please, this is the most important thing. I need you to pay attention to the pattern. Okay, I really need you guys to pay attention to the pattern because again, super important for you to know how to do this. So first we have to go ahead and I'm just gonna go ahead and make my bracket. And following the pattern, doing my row first, then going to my column. So this one with my column, I'm gonna have -1 times -3 plus 3 times -4. Okay, that is one column. I did my row, I did my one column. Now I have to go ahead and do the next one. I'm still using that same row, but now I'm gonna go ahead and use a different column. So now I'm gonna have -1 times 2 plus 3 times 1. Okay, so again, just erasing this one. I just used the second one. Okay, now moving on to the next one. Okay, looking at the next number. So I'm going to go ahead and use this row and do the first column. I now have 4 times -3 plus -2 times -4. Okay, now going to the next one. I'm still using that 4 times 2 plus -2 times 1. Okay, I accounted for that row already. I did that column. And going to the last one, which is right here. Going with the first column, I'm going to have 5 times -3 plus 0 times -4. All right, moving on. And then the last one, 5 times 2 plus 0 times 1. And this is what I have. I'm not done. Please make sure you guys leave yourself some space right here so you don't make the mistake of combining them. Look at the pattern. What do I have? All of my numbers in my parentheses are the same every time. Okay, try and find a pattern here. Then I have my whole entire row is the same. Same thing for these and this. So try and keep that parentheses there if you need to, just so you can see it. And now I'm gonna go ahead and solve these. Again, solving them separately. So I'm gonna have plugging it in or solving it. Looking at it, I'm gonna have +3 plus -12, or I could just write it as +3 minus 12. And then I'm gonna have solving the next one, -2 plus 3. Then I'm gonna have -12 plus 8. I'm gonna get 8 minus 2, -15 plus 0, and 10 plus 0. Still not done. I have to finish solving these. Make sure your answers are in the brackets. If your answers are not in the brackets, it will be wrong. Now writing my final answer, I'm going to end up with -9 and 1, -4 and 6, and -15 and 10. And this would be my final answer. Please make sure again it is in those brackets. All right, looking at the next example. First, I'm going to go ahead and find my dimensions. I want to just make sure that it works. So looking at this dimension I have, looking at my rows, I have 2 rows by 3 columns. And this is going to be 3 rows by 2 columns. Are my inner numbers the same? Yes, they are. So I know my answer is going to be a 2 by 2. So solving these, first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is write those brackets that I have. And solving, again, I am going from row to column first. So I'm going to have 1 times -2 plus 0 times 1 plus 3 times -1. Okay, I already took into account that first column. Going ahead and going to my second column, I'm going to have 1 in parentheses 4 plus 0 in parentheses 0 plus 3 in parentheses 1. Now you may be asking, okay, where did you get these numbers from? Remember, it's going to be the same numbers in front of those parentheses. Now going ahead to the next row, just go ahead and erase this, write it in a different color. Do it in blue. So going ahead and going to this row, starting with that first column, I'm going to have 2 times -2 plus -1 times 1 plus -2 times -1. Going ahead, going to the second column, which is right here. So looking at the second column, I'm going to have 2 times 4 plus -1 times 0 plus -2 times 1, and closing that bracket. And then I'm going to go ahead and solve that. Remember, there is a space right here. So leaving that space, solving these, I'm going to end up with 2 or -2 plus 0 minus 3. I'm going to get 4 plus 0 plus 3. Then I have -4 minus 1 plus 2. And 8 plus 0 minus 2. So just solving it in steps and then going ahead and getting my answer. I'm going to get -5, 7, -3, 6, and I do have a 2 by 2, so I know I at least solved it correctly. This would be my answer in the end. All right, so please make sure you know the pattern or the rule so you're able to find that answer. All right, solving the last two. Same thing, first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and find those dimensions. So looking at it, dimensions is a 2 by 2 here, a 2 by 2 here. I have the same inner, so I know I'm going to get 2 by 2 for my answer. So solving for my answer, again, doing those rows and then my columns, making that parentheses, doing this row, starting with this column. I'm going to have 3 times 1 plus 4 times 0, going on to the next column. So erasing this, going on to the next one. I'm going to have 3 times 0 plus 4 times 1. This one's pretty easy. And then going on to the last row, I have 2 times 1, so this column, plus 5 times 0. Going on to the next one, then I'm going to have 2 times 0 plus 5 times 1. Okay, that one was pretty easy. Again, it's only a 2 by 2. So solving what I have. Okay, solving what I have is my next step. I'm going to get 3 plus 0, 0 plus 4. Then this one's, was it a -2? It was a -2. Change that sign really quick. This is going to be -2 plus 0 and 0 plus 5. So super easy to solve here. Already have our answer. 3, 4, -2, 5 in brackets. And make sure you leave space. If it looks like 34 and negative 25, it will be incorrect. You guys have to make sure that you leave that space there. They are not together. They are separate. All right, going ahead on the last example. So looking at the last one, first thing I'm going to do is I need to determine if it is possible. So finding my dimensions. How many rows do I have? 3. How many columns? 3. Looking at the next one, how many rows do I have? 3 rows. Remember, rows go left and right. Column goes up and down. Do I have the same inside numbers? Yes, I do. You can cross them out. And your answer should be a 3 by 1. Okay, solving it again, I'm trying to get a 3 by 1. Let's go ahead and do our row with our only column. So having to know how to do this, I'm going to take 6 times 1 plus 2 times 2 plus 0 times negative 3. Going on to the next one right here, still using this same column. 3 times 1 plus negative 1 times 2 plus 2 times negative 3. And then going ahead to the last one with the same column. 1 times 1 plus 4 times 2 plus 6 times negative 3. And these are all in my brackets. Now, solving what I have, again, you can solve it in steps. So I'm going to have 6 plus 4 plus 0. 3 minus 2 minus 6. 1 plus 8 minus 18. And then this is what I'm solving in the end. You guys will not have a calculator for this, so you have to know how to solve for integers. 6 plus 4 would give me 10. 3 minus 2 minus 6 would give me negative 5. 1 plus 8 minus 18 would give me negative 9, and this would be my answer in brackets. So again, please make sure you guys know how to solve for integers. That is my answer, and this was my answer for the one above it.